Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to string a racket. This is a Wilson Ultralight V4. It's a Wilson. So it's my string is still strung, but it's a little bit loose for me. So I'm going to actually restring it with a different type of string. Purchased two types of string. This one right here, that's called the Premium Turn-Up 17 gauge, and I might try this one later. This is the 14 Sweet 17 gauge as well. They're synthetic gut strings, pretty thin, should feel the ball quite a bit. So with that said, let's dive into on how to string this stuff. So if you take a look at this string pattern, let's just count right across. This is the middle of the racket right here. If you count from this side on this way, so here's the middle, we count this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And then you see this one that crosses over? So 7 strings over, and then there's one that crosses over. So you skip that hole, and then you go to the 8th one. So there's a total of vertical, there's a total of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So a total of 16 across. So I'd say this is about 16 foot in length. So when you measure, you pull out about, I'll say 17 or 18 foot of string, just to allow you to have enough for your stringer to pull the strings. And then also across this way, you can count how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 total going this way. So 19, I would say that's 19 foot. I count about 20 foot of slack so that you have enough to pull your string as you're stringing it. So here we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this clipper, cut right in the middle, boom, cut. So make sure when you cut, just cut evenly so that you have a weight distribution so you don't warp your racket. So I'm gonna do that, going through. Doesn't have to be in any particular order. It's gonna loosen up the strings, whatever you feel the tensioning, even weight distribution you think will be, just do it that way. So cutting it, all right. So cutting it pretty easy. Typically it takes me a couple matches to break these strings. The one that I have currently on right now is 15L, 15 gauge string nylon. I don't like the feel of them. I put it on just temporary, waiting for these guys to arrive in the mail. So I got them in the mail today, and so therefore I'm stringing it. I got it pretty much cut. You don't have to cut every string, but here we go. So it's all busted up. Just take them out. All right. So I have 2 stringers the same thing. So I cut this one up. And so I have another string right here, which it's the same, or I'm sorry, not string, racket. It's the same racket. So I put it on my stringer. So basically pretty self-explanatory. There's a top notch and the bottom knot. Make sure you line them up right in the middle where the middle knot are at. And then there's 4 brackets that holds the racket together. You just tighten up these knobs on the side. And the stringer that I have is called a Igma. You see that? Igma? And it's basically a hand crank, and it does the job, but takes a little bit of time. And then on the stringer itself, there's actually these clips that you can loosen and rotate and lock in place. So let me go on how to measure out the strings. So I basically pre-mounted this like I told you in the video before. So I'm going to show you how to measure this out so that you can get an accurate count. So what did we say? We go this way, 7 on both sides, right? 7 on this side and then 7 on this side, or a total of 8, 8 on this side. So I'd say 8, 8, 16, 17, let's go 18 foot just in case we don't have enough, give us enough slack. So I'm going to go measure enough for the string tensioner. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I got 8 on one side. My string is getting all tangled up. And then I'm going to count another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to leave a little bit of slack so that I have enough to tie off. Now that I got enough, I'm going to take a clipper and cut it off at an angle so that it feeds through the racket easy. Clean this one up. All right, so let's start feeding this through. You can go top or bottom, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna go from the top to the bottom, and I'm gonna feed this through like this from middle, if I can feed it through. And this is why it's important to cut it so that it's sharp enough so that you can feed it through. All right, so I'm gonna pre-feed this. So I'm gonna measure out on both ends, get enough same length. I'm gonna pull it all the way out, and I'm gonna get exactly the same length on both sides. All right, now that I got both lengths, let that go. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna run the test so that make sure I have enough. So I got 1, 2, I'm gonna count to 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and sure enough, I'll have enough to tie off. All right, now that I got enough, I'm gonna start on one side. So I'm gonna clamp one side down. You take your clamp and you clamp at the very beginning of this. Anybody can see this? So clamp this down, and I'm gonna lock this thing in place so that it doesn't move. Lock that down, and then I'm gonna tighten this one string by itself. So I'm gonna take my stretcher here and crank this back a little bit. Take my stretcher, push this in, then crank the handle here. All right, I'm gonna feed my string through. I'm gonna crank the handle and lock it in place. And I'm gonna take this other clamp, loosen that a little bit, move it to the other end, clamp it down and lock it in place. And release the lever, then move over to the other side, do the same thing. Feed that through. So got that. I think I'm gonna do 2 on this one because the handle's in the way. So this still will be accurate, but preference. I'm using this to play by myself, so I'm good to go. A little bit miss accuracy is fine. Roll this up a little bit, pull it in, crank it up, feel the tension a little bit, release this one, let it go to the next one, unclamp this one, come this way, clamp it down, lock it down. All right, let it go, and I'll come back, do this side, and then I continue on. Guys, I got pretty far on this, so I want to show you the part where I'm actually going to skip a hole. So I don't know if you can see this pretty well, but take a look at the middle. Remember how we counted 8 total this way? So let's count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th one is the last straight hole, and then we need to skip 1 hole to make it 8. So I'm going to skip 1 hole, here, make it a total of 8. And then I am going to crank this, all right, and tie this thing off. Do this. So I can do this with one hand. This up, this down. So I want you to see this closely. So getting ready to tie this thing off. So I'm gonna feed it to the largest hole here. Feed it in so it's up, down, and back up on the other side. So I get a nice little knot. Hold it this way, pull it back, grab a small needle nose plier, grab it and go tug it forward, push it back this way, pull it hard. So that's 1 knot. So go up, bring that up, and then go back down, and then back up through like that, where it's making a knot. Yank it back like this. Take your needle nose again, pull it back this way a little bit, not too hard, break the string. And then, before you cut it, release your hold points just on one side. And then your clamp is off. And then now you can cut this one, not too close. That should be adequate enough right there. So I finished this side now. Now I'm gonna finish off this other side. So I got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 from the middle so far. So I got 2 more. 7 here, 7, and then I'm gonna tighten this up. Crank this through, 7, open this up, open this clamp, 7, close this, 7, hold this up there. And then I'm gonna skip 1 hole here and feed the next hole, which is the 8th hole. Same here on this side, do the same. And so here I have it. So I'm gonna swing this over, and then I'm gonna hold the tension on this, do my clamp, turn this around, tighten it down, close your clamp. And so I got this last portion left. So I'm gonna go to the hole that is the largest one, feed it in. On the side it looks like that, feed it in this side. So it might be a double to one of the strings already. And then what I do is over and under and up. And then of course you yank it this way and pull it that way. Grab a needle nose plier, tighten it, not to mess up your racket. Down and over. Grab your needle nose again, take that, pull it. And I conveniently broke it. Great, hope that doesn't mess it up. So that should do. I'm gonna release this and do that. I hope that don't come off, broke off. So there you have it. You got all your strings for the vertical with your length of your racket. And now I'm gonna measure it this way, and we said 18 this way. So I'm gonna take my string and I'm gonna measure 18. So leave a little bit for this tensioner. So I'll leave that part, and then I'm gonna start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm just gonna go 20 just in case. Just give it a little bit of margin. I have enough. Have it at an angle. All right. You can either start from the bottom or start from the top. Doesn't matter. So I'm gonna start down here. I'm gonna feed it through. So whichever side you feed up, if it's down, you gotta go up on the next one. So down is the weaving. So weave and weave. And once you get to this side, you feed it through. Of course, you gotta find a place to tie this thing off, right? So go right next door. So it's probably easy to go from the top first. And you just go from the top. It's easier if you got 2 knots here already. So we gotta miss one of them. Let's go from the top here. So it really doesn't really matter. So it's weaving up. So once you get to the end, find a hole, feed that through. Boom. So take this end, feed it in the next hole. If it doesn't go through, use this thing. Locate your largest hole on the racket and just push it through, like the one close to it, not too far from it. Feed that through, boom, feed right through. So I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. So just give myself enough right there to tie off. All right, so I'm gonna do that. Boom. I'm gonna pull the string tensioner so that I can tighten it a little bit. Tighten this up so that it doesn't come off. I'm gonna feed it back, get a double loop going, feed back up, and then boom. Basically made my loop right there, looking for my needle nose to avoid it from breaking off. I'm not gonna be too hard. All right, and then that's pretty much it. And then, so this one's still loose, so I just tighten it so that I can get this knot to tighten down. You find the other end, make sure that this is cut to sharp enough. So I cut it super sharp right there. Yep, so you take the next hole, find the next hole right next to this string, the cross string. Take the next hole, feed it through, and make sure when you're feeding it through, it's the up and down pattern, and ensuring that it's opposite up and down from the previous string. So keep weaving it, we weave, and boom, and then you feed this through. Pull it, don't pull it like that straight through because it's gonna cause enough friction to cut the string with the force on you pulling through. So do like that. Pull in here and pull it down this way so that there's enough less friction on one location. All right, once it's fed through, you have something like that, and then you will tighten your string. Now that your string is tightened and it's held down, you take your clamp, you position it, turn it over, try to move it into position to clamp it down on one end. Clamp it, tighten that one down. So now your strings are held in place, this is tight. I'm gonna continue feeding it through, so it's a down pattern, so I gotta come up on top. All right, turn this around to make it easier. Up, down, so continue weaving and continue on the process until you get towards the end of the racket. And then as we get closer to the end of the racket, I'll show you how to tie it off again. So as you can see, I'm continuing weaving and weaving back and forth until I'm done with the racket. So stringing a racket is not very difficult as long as you know the pattern up front. And the main thing is, if you don't know the pattern, you want to look online. These days they have patterns for each type of racket. You just got to look at the model of your racket and the brand, and it'll give you a pattern in which you need to follow the stringing patterns for. So fairly easy. You can save yourself a lot of money by doing it yourself, but if you don't got the time, then definitely pay somebody else to do it that's professional. It's if you break strings all the time, it get really expensive, and that's the reason why I resorted to stringing myself. Because when I used to play competitive tennis, I break my strings maybe every other match or so, and it gets really expensive, especially before I was playing with 18 gauge synthetic gut, super thin strings that I like the feel of the ball, grips the ball for good top spin, but it can really get expensive if you don't know how to string it yourself. So towards the end is a little bit difficult because there's not enough room to stick your fingers underneath and your arms underneath, but do what you can, it still works. Alright. Okay, we're getting close to the end here, folks. I'm holding my leg because my stringer is somewhat broken, and I don't want to throw the stringer away because it still works. So I got my last hole to feed here. You can see it's coming out this way, so it crosses right with the other string. Pull this last part. Loosen that, clamp this in. That should be the last hole. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the hole closest to that and tie it down. So I'm gonna choose this hole right here, one right next to here. Again, I'm gonna use my tool because I can't feed my string through. Carefully just pushing it through until you see it on the other hand. Get room, pull it out, feed it back in, and then boom, it comes on right through. Easy. And then again, hold it up like this. Down under and feed it back up right through the loop. Last part's always a little bit difficult. It's not a lot of room. I'm just going to do this one softly so that I don't rip anything here. Pull it out this way, softly tighten that. Pull it up one more time so I can get a double knot in there. Right spot. Do that. And I'm done. So now you can see I have about a foot long, a whole racket length of string left. And that was enough for me to stretch the string tension with it. So now I cut right there, and I'm good on that. I'm gonna come to this side and cut this one off. And that is a complete racket. Straighten out the strings a little bit before you undo the clamps. So gotta undo the side brackets. All right, folks, I'm gonna adjust my camera for you here so you can see. Sorry, I don't have a cameraman, but here we go. So that is a completely strung racket. Again, just to recap, if you take the center of the racket, which is right here, and you stick your finger right through the middle, and then you start counting to one side. So on this one, it's a total of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so on the 7th string, you skip one hole because there's one string that crosses this way. So total of 8 strings vertically this way, and then an 8th string vertically this way. And then the opposite end of this string, you got, what did we say, 18? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Total of 19 that goes across the other way. But I strongly says tension, 65 pounds. I like mine pretty tight, so let's see how that all pans out and how it hits. So it just looks like it's pretty tight right here. So that's how you string a racket. So any questions or comments, just let me know. If you want to learn or have questions for me, just send me a message down below. All right, I'll see you guys next time.